Hey folks, when Season 1 of the War Within begins, farming high-level delves is one of the first activities that you should complete. If you manage to reach level 8 Bountiful Delves and spend your keys, you're able to obtain pieces of 603 item level champion gear. Since you're able to complete 4 Bountiful Delves per day, this is the single best method of pre-raid gearing, provided you have enough Coffer keys to spend. In this video, I'll go over everything that you need to know to optimize your Season 1 delves. For starters, let's quickly touch upon the basics of earning keys. The first 4 weekly event boxes that you earn are guaranteed to reward a Coffer key. You'll also be able to earn a one-time Coffer key at specific renown levels with every major faction, providing you with potentially 4 bonus keys per character if your renown is high enough. The other main way of earning keys is by combining shards, which are sometimes offered as a reward from world quests. There's also an event called World Soul Memories, which rewards additional shards, but this is tied to Bountiful Delves, so we'll discuss it later. Lastly, you can eventually purchase additional keys directly from the delve vendor, Sir Finley Mergleton, but this won't be accessible until much later in the season. Once you have a key, you're able to open a special chest in Bountiful Delves to get higher item level loot. As previously mentioned, only 4 Bountiful Delves are available every single day. Each of the 4 zones will have 1 active Bountiful Delve, and the specific delve that gets empowered will rotate every day. This means that no matter how many keys you currently have, you'll only be able to earn a maximum of 4 603 champion items per day when the season begins. Additionally, in order to actually obtain these 603 items, the Bountiful Delve that you complete must be done on Tier 8 difficulty, and you'll need to unlock this before you enter any Bountiful Delves. In order to reach the higher difficulty delves, you'll need to complete every single tier sequentially. So, for example, in order to unlock Tier 5, you'll have to complete any delve on Tier 4 difficulty, and so on. If you've already completed a Tier 3 delve right now on live servers, you'll be able to immediately jump into a Tier 4 delve the moment Season 1 begins. Thankfully, the difficulty level is not only shared across all different delves, it's also shared across your entire account. This means that you'll only need to progress towards delve level 8 on a single character, and on all of your alts you can immediately jump into the Bountiful Delves at level 8 difficulty. However, it's critical that whatever delve you farm to reach Tier 8 is not a Bountiful Delve. If you complete a Bountiful Delve on a lower level, even if you do not spend a key to open the chest at the end, the delve will lose its Bountiful status. If you try to return to that delve later on after you've unlocked Tier 8, there will be no bonus chest at the end, causing you to effectively miss out on one of your 4 daily chances at gear. I know this may all sound a little confusing and overwhelming, so I'll break things down into very simple terms and explain the exact step-by-step process that you'll take once Season 1 begins. Provided you've already cleared a Tier 3 delve on live servers, you can immediately jump into a Tier 4 delve. Again, make sure whatever delve you pick is not bountiful, and you'll want to select one of the faster delves to get your tier climbing finished as quickly as possible. We'll discuss the fast delve variations later on in the video. Once you've completed Tier 4 and looted your chests, you can right-click your character frame and press Leave Delve to immediately get teleported outside. You'll then repeat this process for Tiers 5, 6, and 7. If you find yourself struggling on the higher levels and you use up all 5 of your allotted deaths, don't panic, as you can reattempt the delve as many times as you want. While delves can be done completely solo, I would advise grouping up with friends or guildmates, as this will make the process significantly easier. Alternatively, you can form a pug group for your delves by using the Group Finder tool. If you aren't playing a tank spec or a tanky DPS spec, some of the higher level delve mobs will begin to hit you pretty hard, so even if you could potentially solo it, you'll probably have a better time by playing with other people. Once you successfully finished a Tier 7 delve, you'll unlock Tier 8 difficulty for every single delve, and this is where you get the highest item level rewards. Keep in mind that while delves can technically go all the way to Tier 11, the final 3 tiers only offer you additional cosmetic rewards, so I would advise waiting until later in the season to attempt these optional difficulties. For now, you should locate one of the 4 Bountiful Delves on your map and complete it at Tier 8 difficulty. Keep in mind that in order to access the Bountiful chest at the end of the delve, you must complete it without exhausting all 5 of your lives. If you die too many times, you should restart the delve from the beginning, as you have an infinite number of attempts. Completing the delve after losing your lives is still possible, but you won't gain the bonus chest at the end, and the delve will lose its Bountiful status, which will once again cause you to miss out on a potential daily piece of gear. After finishing your first Bountiful delve, you'll receive an item called a Radiant Echo. This unlocks the World Soul Memory event that I mentioned earlier, which is a nice way to earn bonus Coffer key shards. While you normally wouldn't want to worry about this until later in the week, your very first Radiant Echo is a bit weird. You're guaranteed to get one of these from every Bountiful Delve you complete, and they're supposed to stack an infinite number of times. However, this very first Radiant Echo counts as a quest item, and until you complete a World Soul Memory, it's impossible to obtain additional Radiant Echoes from future Bountiful Delves. This means that you'll need to take a detour after your first Bountiful Delve to complete a World Soul Memory and finish the quest. These events are active in a random Kazalgar zone, and they'll rotate every single day. You can find it by locating the bluish gold orb on your map and flying to that spot in the zone. You'll then interact with a glowing orb on the ground, causing you to enter a 5-minute phase where you're tasked with killing mobs and completing objectives to increase your score. Depending on how well you perform, you can earn anywhere from 20 to 25 Coffer Key shards, effectively granting you a 20 to 25% refund on all Coffer Keys that you use. It should be noted that while these events can be done solo, they can also be completed within a group, and doing so will likely allow you to achieve a higher score and earn more Coffer Key shards. Once you finish this World Soul Memory, you can clear out the remaining 3 Bountiful Delves. Any additional Radiant Echoes can be saved up and used whenever you have time to complete them. Now, the entire process that I just described may sound really time-consuming, but it's actually not that bad. I tested this entire route on the beta, starting from a Tier 4 Delve and ending with the completion of my 4th Bountiful Delve, and the whole thing took me only 1 hour and 15 minutes. Considering I did this completely solo on a 582 Guardian Druid, I'd reckon that you can get all of your delves done even faster if you ran with a group of 5. I've also posted the entire footage of this process on my 3rd channel, so you can check that out if you want to see the Day 1 Delve route completed in real time. It should be noted that in this test run, I didn't even use the best possible delve variation to go from Tier 4 to Tier 8, and that brings me to my next topic, which is discussing the fastest delves and their optimal variations. Now, when it comes to picking the fastest delve to reach Tier 8, there's a few different things that you need to consider. In a vacuum, the fastest delve by far is Tocrathon Abyss. However, this is only while it has the specific story where you have to break a bunch of crates of pheromones. This one is extremely fast because you just run around, press a button, break the pheromones, and then beeline towards the final boss. When done properly, I've managed to get this delve completed in as little as 2 minutes, and even on the higher difficulties, it still only takes around 2.5 minutes because the entire thing revolves around pressing an extra action button and you can completely avoid the vast majority of combat. In addition, the final boss, Undersea Abomination, has completely avoidable mechanics, so even if you're on Tier 8 and you don't have a lot of self-sustain, you'll be able to kill it relatively easily. However, this is where we reach a problem, because again, you cannot start off with a Bountiful Delve. If you do so, it'll revert back to a normal delve whether or not you spend a key, and the rewards will be lost. So, in a situation like this, where Tocrathon Abyss is one of your 4 Bountiful Delves, you will not be able to use it from your push from Tier 4 to Tier 8. Additionally, while Tocrathon is very fast with the pheromone setup, there are multiple different story variations for every delve, and some are certainly faster than others. Tocrathon has 2 different setups, one that involves rescuing Niffin, and another that involves climbing into a giant mech. And while both of these are alright, I would say they're about on par with a lot of the other delves, they don't even come close to the 2-minute runs that you can achieve with the pheromone setup. What this means is that you need to consider multiple different options for your Day 1 delve push, as the fastest possible options are not guaranteed to be available. While Tocrathon is certainly the fastest option if it is not flagged as a Bountiful Delve, I'll quickly go through some of the other delves that you can consider in case Tocrathon isn't an option. For starters, Skittering Breach is relatively fast in all 3 of its stories, with the Ritualists and the Renelosh Beckons variant being the 2 faster ones. My next recommendation would be Dreadpit, as, once again, all 3 variations are pretty fast, with Lost Gems and Smashing Skardin being the 2 better of the 3. As for the other options, there are many delves that have one really good variant, but the rest are really crappy and should be avoided whenever possible. In the case of the Sinkhole, the one where you have to kill Cragpie at the end is a very fast variation, but the other 2 where you have to rescue Arathi and the one where you get a Heroic Leap tend to be on the slower side. The Waterworks is another good consideration, as both the Captured Engineers and the Boot Stomping one are both relatively fast. However, the final boss can be really rough on higher difficulty levels, as it has a lot of unavoidable damage, and the 3rd variant is very slow and should be avoided at all costs. Finally, while Fungal Folly is not the easiest delve to complete, since a lot of the trash in it is very overtuned, but the Lost Miner story is about as fast as a lot of the other ones that I've already discussed. Once again though, the other 2 story variations in Fungal Folly, Spreading Decay and Explorer's Competition, are very slow and should be avoided at all costs. Because of the inherent randomness present in which delves are available on which day, it's difficult for me to give you an exact recommendation on what you should spam to reach tier 8. Ultimately, when Tuesday rolls around, you can immediately rule out all of the delves that are currently bountiful, and then out of the ones that I've discussed in this video, you should check to see which variation is active in each. If one of the non-bountiful delves has a fast variation that I've discussed in this video, that should be the one that you spam to reach tier 8. With any luck, Talkrathon Pheromones will be available on the weekly reset, and we'll all just be able to spam that and reach tier 8 as quickly as possible. But obviously, you should be prepared for every possibility. The final topic that I want to discuss in this video is optimal builds for Brann. It should be worth noting that Brann will show up in your group even if you have a party of 5, which is something that I've seen a lot of confusion on. Even though he does vanish from the party frames, he will still follow your group around in the delve and contribute a significant amount of damage. And that is one of the biggest things that I want to clear up. Brann should only ever be set to damage dealer, and if he is a damage dealer, he actually contributes a pretty sizable chunk of the overall damage. I've seen a lot of people call Brann useless, and while I jokingly call him useless myself, every now and then he tries to get me killed, he is still an extremely potent damage dealer, and in a lot of the level 8 bountiful delves that I tested on the beta, Brann did 80% of the overall damage. What this also means is that if you're really struggling to deal with higher level bountiful delves, you can just not engage the mobs at all, tag them, run away, and let Brann gun down the mobs as they chase after you. That is a perfectly viable way to clear the content. Now, as for the builds, again, he should always be set to damage dealer. The healer mode just doesn't really work properly. I would not advise ever selecting this unless Blizzard gives it major buffs. And for the combat curio, the main 3 options that you'll want to choose from is Porcelain Arrowhead Idol, Idol of Final Will, or Unbreakable Iron Idol. Idol of Final Will, this one I'm including, but I wouldn't really recommend using this in the vast majority of cases. It can do a lot of damage, but it requires you to position yourself appropriately, and if you are relying on Brann to kill most of the mobs, a lot of times you won't actually be in melee, you'll be kiting, so you won't be able to aim this properly. And if you aren't relying on Brann to kill most of the mobs, so at lower delve levels when he hasn't scaled quite as hard and you're still contributing most of the damage, Porcelain Arrowhead Idol will still do the most overall because it'll be boosting your damage by a significant margin. Finally, Unbreakable Iron Idol is my personal favorite for higher level delves because this gives you a major defensive ability by effectively taunting away all mobs when you drop low on health. And in higher level delves, this effect will trigger almost on cooldown, and it has saved my life countless times, so I think it is a great pickup. All of the other idols here I don't think are worth discussing. These two provide a trivial amount of defensive value, they should never be considered. Brute Force Idol, ironically, can get you killed. Sometimes Brann will pick you up and chuck you into an AoE swirly and get you murdered. It's not fun, it has happened to me on numerous occasions. And Rage-Filled Idol doesn't boost Brann's damage by a significant enough amount to be worth considering, because this also causes him to die very fast, and without this idol, he is basically unkillable. If you ran delves early on in the season, you may have noticed Brann dying a lot. That is no longer the case. They gave him massive survivability buffs, and if you are not running Rage-Filled Idol, he will never die, even if he is face-tanking multiple mobs. As for the utility relics, well, it does say utility. There are a bunch that actually give you significant damage. So Time Lost Relic here is basically a mini Bloodlust. This will trigger a pool on the ground that you can stand in to get 20% haste, CDR, all that fun stuff. It's really powerful. And Amorphous Relic will give you a minor max health and damage increase, or a minor haste increase sometimes when you enter combat. It's a 50-50 chance as to which one gets picked when you enter combat, but either way, it's going to give you a buff. Finally, Streamline Relic will give you out-of-combat movement speed, which is actually pretty good for a lot of the delves where you find yourself running down long corridors, and when you enter combat, you gain a pretty sizable haste buff for the first few seconds. All 3 of these relics, I think, have a good place in higher level delves. I opted to go with Streamlined Relic while I was leveling up my delves to tier 8 because I spent a lot more time out of combat, so the movement speed saved me a bit of time. But once I reached the higher level delves, I switched to Time Lost Relic or Amorphous Relic, and which one you pick really comes down to whether or not you can benefit from standing in the Time Lost Relic circle, or if the delve has a lot of forced movement that will cause you to move out of it. Now, as for the other ones, I would consider Olden Seeker Relic and Relic of Sentience to just be completely worthless. The buffs they provide are not nearly powerful enough to be worth considering, but Lifeless Necrotic Relic has one particular niche use case, and that is while you are leveling up to Delve Tier 8, If you are trying to speedrun the delves, sometimes it can help to have a cheat death to reach one of the checkpoints, die, and then respawn halfway through the delve so you can complete it faster. Outside of that, I would never recommend taking this. This is not actually beneficial as a cheat death because it will still get you killed, but it does buy you a few extra seconds if you are trying to race to a checkpoint. So in that one very particular case, you could consider running this particular relic. Finally, if you're watching this video when it comes out and you want to begin preparing for delves tomorrow, you can get Brann up to level 15, which is the current cap on live servers, and if you really want to put in the extra effort, it is possible to level up your Brann relics by using your alts. You can see here on screen that I have a rank 2 Time Lost relic and a rank 2 Streamlined relic. The way that I got this is by running alts that I don't care about through Bountiful Delves and sacrificing their keys to open the chests at the end. Whenever you open a chest in a Bountiful Delve, there is a very rare chance that you'll be able to get an upgrade to one of your relics. If you do have any alts right now that you don't care about at all, and they happen to have extra Coffer keys, it can't hurt to get your relics leveled up a little bit because that will make the process slightly faster on your main. If you manage to get your Brann up to level 15 with some of these upgrades, make sure that if you're running with a group of friends, they set you as the party leader, since the party leader's Brann will be the one that's active within the delve. And with that, we've covered everything that you need to know in order to get started with delves in Season 1 of The War Within. If you found this video helpful, I would greatly appreciate it if you could toss it a like, as that'll help other people find it as well.